Welcome to the Nursing Leadership and Management course. This is the first lecture in this course. In this lecture, we will discuss the basic concepts of leadership and management and distinguish between the different roles leaders and managers may assume. First, let's go over the objectives of today's class. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to meet the following lecture objectives. Relate leadership and other organizational theories to behaviors that serve as important functions of professional nursing. Examine how self-knowledge and emotional intelligence affect an appreciation of the power, influence, and authority needed in professional nursing practice. Differentiate between transactional and transformational leadership styles and techniques for effectiveness and potential for positive outcomes. Compare and contrast leadership and management with a focus on roles and responsibilities. Explore strategies for making the leadership opportunities positive for both the leader and the followers. And finally, identify behaviors exhibited by nurses that make them effective leaders and/or managers. First, let's review the three main key concepts that drive the content of the text and this course. The three key concepts are managing, leading, and following. Managing is the act of any individual who guides others through a series of routines, procedures, or practice guidelines. Managing can also refer to control of one's own individual work and energies. It also refers to persons holding a position of authority. While leading is using individual traits and personal power to interact constructively to resolve problems. Leaders usually set directions, build commitments, confront challenges, and influence others. Following is just as accountable as leading or managing. Followership and leadership are separate but have reciprocal roles. Without followers, there cannot be leaders, and there cannot be followers without a leader. Followership is not a passive and thinking role. The most valuable follower is a skilled, self-directed employee. A good follower is an active participant, a person who invests in time and energy in working with others, with groups, and think critically and advocates for new ideas. This slide provides a clear distinction between leaders and managers. Go ahead and look at what leaders and managers are characterized by. Usually, leaders provide common vision for the employee, while effective managers are able to get employees to do the work and do it well. Leaders often do not have delegated authority but obtain their power through other means. They have a wider variety of roles, are frequently not part of the formal organization, and they focus on group process. While managers are always assigned a position, have legitimate sources of power, they are expected to carry specific functions and emphasize control, decision making, and results. These are some characteristics of the tasks that leaders and managers conduct. Leaders have more, as you see under good leaders, leaders have a more holistic approach, while managers are more task-oriented. One of the authors, called Blake, has also identified 9 tasks of followership. In box 1.5 in your text, Blake has identified these characteristics for followers. Good followers usually suggest solutions for problems. They're interested in the work. They listen carefully. They support new ideas. They're accountable. They have good communication. They continue to learn, and they share what they learned with others. This slide looks at effective leaders and managers. In addition to being emotionally intelligent, effective leaders and managers need these attributes. You can review these attributes, some of them, just to mention a few: vision, critical thinking, intuition, responsibility, communication and coaching skills, able to identify the needs of others, able to set boundaries, trustworthy, motivated, competent, build teams and trust, affirm values, renew energies among their employee. One of the main attributes needed for leadership, management, and followership is what is called emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is defined as possession of social skills, interpersonal competence, psychological maturity, and emotional awareness devoted to helping people work well together. Emotional intelligence is what helps people see others in a positive light. In other words, 2 managers could reach the same decision and present the idea to 2 groups. The one with the skills inherent in emotional intelligence is likely to be perceived in more positive terms, even though the outcome may be the same. To be emotionally intelligent, consider the 5 main domains for emotional intelligence in the next slide. The 5 main domains of emotional intelligence are associated with competent practitioners. These are having self-awareness, which means that you can identify the emotions you are feeling and that you know how they are altering your perception. Another domain is managing emotions, which means that the negative emotions such as anger, fear, passive aggressiveness are avoided. Another domain is motivating self, which suggests that we would be internally driven rather than externally. Another domain is being empathic, which suggests that we value differences in viewpoints and we don't side with one group versus the other. And the last domain for emotional intelligence is handling relationships, which means that you are socially appropriate. According to Blake and Kozaik, they say that we can divide theory about leading, managing, and following into 2 categories. The first category are the leadership theories, and the second are motivational theories. The 4 leadership theories are trait, style, situational contingency, and transformational theory. The 4 types of motivational theories are hierarchy of needs, 2-factor, expectancy, and organizational behavior modifications. Let's look at each of these theories in more details. Trait leadership theories describe leaders as a person with a set of physical or emotional characteristic or trait. For example, being intelligent, that is a trait that a leader might have. Style leadership theories describe leaders. Leader is a person who takes action with consideration to his or her relationship to the subordinates or co-workers, and also take in consideration the context of others, like their co-workers. This leader is interested in the feedback from their co-workers and subordinates. The situational contingency leadership theory suggests that the leader is able to adapt his or her leadership and problem-solving style according to the present situation. The leader is dependent on the followers' characteristics and the environmental demands. The theory encourages the leader to consider a number of factors when deciding what action to take. In the transformational leadership theories, this theory suggests that people need a sense of mission that goes beyond good interpersonal relationships or the appropriate reward for a job well done. Transformational leaders can communicate their vision in a manner that is so meaningful and exciting that it inspires commitment in the people with whom they work. The motivational theories in hierarchy of needs theory, it is based on Maslow's hierarchy of need. People would always need to meet their low-level needs before they are able to seek or think about high-level needs, such as opportunities for professional development. So nurse managers need to meet the basic needs first before encouraging their staff to seek high levels. The two-factor motivational theory, the two factors are the hygiene factors and motivator factors. Hygiene factors such as salary, safety, satisfaction, while motivator factors such as achievements. Those are the two main factors that promote job satisfaction. In the expectancy motivational theory, discuss the relationship between effectors and rewards, performance and outcomes. Motivation usually increases if the relationship perceived as positive between the performance and the outcome. And finally, the organizational behavior modification theory performs the ABC analysis. A for antecedents, B for behavior, and C for consequence analysis. Leaders perform the ABC analysis. This analysis provides employee with rewards for desired behaviors and reprimand for undesirable performance. So leaders in this theory provide employee usually with rewards for if the employee perform acceptable or desirable behavior, or maybe punish or reprimand the staff for performing below the standard. The healthcare system is a complex system that includes complex nursing care needs and organizational issues that continuously rises. Dealing with the complex issues and care requires the nursing leaders to view healthcare delivery in a way that is different from traditional science or what's called top-down hierarchies. The classical theories most of the time examine the parts of the healthcare rather than as interrelated and integrated systems. The complexity theory, however, is a complexity science that supports the idea that the world is full of systems that are interrelated and adapt through relationships. Nursing leaders must assume the complexity theory principles to be on the same wavelength with the ever-changing healthcare system. In the complexity theory, there are 5 ways that complexity science encourages leaders, managers, and followers to perform. These 5 ways are: develop networks, encourage non-hierarchical, the bottom-up interaction among workers, become a leadership tag, focus on emergence, and think systemically. Develop networks means forming new relationships that are critical for the function and development of all involved parties. Encourage non-hierarchical relationship interaction among workers by making all members of an organization valuable resource. This is achieved by shared governance and the decision-making process in an organization. Becoming a leadership tag means making self or the organization distinguished by tagging or attracting certain or unique character, like being tagged as a caring organization environment. Focus on emergence. An organization that focuses on emergence is an organization that is seeking creativity, uniqueness, encourage persons to think out of the box, and does not constrain ideas or involvement. And finally, thinking systematically means system thinking is thinking of the big picture, being aware of the complexity and interdependence of systems, and balancing short-term goals and with long-term goals. In this slide, it summarizes or describes some of the characteristics of what is called integrated leader-manager. Gardner provided a description of some of these characteristics in your text. And these would be the integrated leader-manager think long-term, is an outdoor toward large organizations, influence beyond their own groups, emphasize vision, are politically astute, and think in terms of change and renewal. In today's nursing setting, one of 2 approaches to leadership is being used. The first is transactional leadership, which focuses on what is thought of as the traditional boss image. The chief nursing officer and the director and managers convey that they are in charge of the decisions, while in the other type of leadership, which is transformational leadership approach, this approach relies on the group to provide input toward creating goals and setting standards. In so doing, the staff value the organization as their own and expect to help shape its future. Transactional leadership depends on the leader trading favors for work performed. Leaders with this approach are busy observing workers and correcting them when they are wrong. These are the people who make you think that while you have done dozens of things correctly, the only thing they see is the one thing that isn't perfect. This type of leaders also tends to maintain the status quo and not deal with something until it's an issue. Once it's an issue, however, this leader is willing to address it and typically create more rules around the observable events and not necessarily addressing the core issue. On the right hand, however, the transformational leader is always trying to bring groups together and asking proactively how to make something better. These leaders invite comments about decision before they become final, and also seek input regarding established policies to make it more realistic and valuable. These leaders, transformational leaders, exhibit the behavior of challenging processes because they value the quality in others. They try to catch people doing something right. Finally, what is important to so many of us is that they connect with the personal things that make us feel valued in a workplace. Thanking, praising, and exhibiting caring are key attributes of this leader. Which type of leader would you like to be dealing with in your workplace? There are 6 stages or strategies your text identified to develop your own leadership. Even if you have been a leader elsewhere, it is useful to consider these strategies in terms of your role in nursing. Selecting a mentor is one of the most important things you can do. Find a person who is willing to and able to be open to help and think through various decisions about your practice and your career is important. The person doesn't have to work in the same area. It is simply more useful to you if they do work in the same area because he or she knows the details of your situation. However, someone external can ask unexpected questions that sometimes stimulate new thoughts for you. Another strategy is leading by example, and simply means that you have figured out what the values of your workplace are and that you engage in developing those skills that exhibit these values. So, if the organizational support truth-telling and operates in a non-punitive environment, your comfort with speaking up should allow you to admit errors and offer suggestions for improvement without fear of being penalized. Another strategy is accepting responsibility, which is another way to develop as a leader. As in the prior example, speaking out conveys responsibility. This strategy may also mean that you volunteer to take on some additional challenges. Sharing rewards means that you always acknowledge the work of others. It also could entail telling your manager when he or she is doing a good job. Another strategy is having a clear vision, and that basically means you know where you're going, how are you going to improve, what do you want to have others say about you. And finally, be willing to grow. Means that you must be proactive about learning the discipline as well as learning about life in general and blending the two to maximize both. Reading, studying, and discussing are involved in this step. Although a lot of the literature, both general and professional, conveys leadership refers to people in the top position, the reality is that leadership is exhibited in various roles within an organization. The focus of what people are leading is different. Staff nurses can lead efforts to create certain mindsets about a workplace. They have been instrumental in changing practices at the point of care and have specific suggestions about how to rectify workplace issues. Nurse managers have challenging positions. Their role is to translate organizational policy into action and simultaneously, at the same time, respond to issues that are often critically pressing in terms of delivery of care to patients. How they balance those two dichotomous points convey how they value patients and nurses alike. This role is critical to gaining staff nurse input into larger decision-making processes. Nurse executives who remember that first and foremost they are nurses have an ideal opportunity to influence patient care practices. When they use transformational approaches, they gain strengths from the group they are accountable for. Role theory is grounded in management theories that date back to the 1930s. These include participative humanic approach and more recently many managers are utilizing quantum theory because quantum theory addresses unstable, unpredictable environment, as are often seen in healthcare system. The management role should focus on the person, allowing the person to develop strengths and abilities that lead to excellence. The manager should help the person to develop realistic goals and foster an environment that promotes goal attainment. Peter Drucker is an author who is considered the founder of modern management and is considered by some to be the greatest thinker about management. He defined 5 major functions for managers. And those are establishing goals with the person, allowing the manager to analyze needed activities, determine the decisions to be made, and divide tasks so that they can be managed. The manager creates a team to foster teamwork. The manager also communicates performance results to the worker. This is done with the goal of improving work processes and, more importantly, developing self and the team to do the best possible work. The nurse manager should astutely evaluate the work culture and how it can support the workers, taking into account the mission of the unit. Think about your organization. What is the organizational culture of your institution? Is it conducive to worker satisfaction? The nurse manager and organizational culture is discussed further in one of the studies by Laschinger. The study article is uploaded in week 1. You can have the access to the study. If you want to read more, this study by Laschinger is an excellent example for organizational culture. You can discuss the examples based on your own experiences and observations. Laschinger's first key point is about interactional justice. Interactional justice means the perceptions of the quality of the interactions among the individuals affected by the changes in the organization. This study highlights the importance of a positive work environment and its effect on how the nurses feel about having respect in their work environment. One constant throughout the study was the importance of good interpersonal relationship between managers and co-workers in the organization. Think about some of the examples in your organization. Discuss these examples based on your clinical experiences and observations and findings by the Laschinger study. pay particular attention to some of the examples or observations that relates to interactional justice. Now we are going to turn into a case study in the next 3 slides. Please read the case study and then try to answer the questions in the last slide. Using Laschinger findings, discuss the following case. You've been promoted recently to your first job as nurse manager and very pleased because you were chosen from 4 internal and external candidates. Your best friend Candice, an RN who works in this unit, also applied for the nurse manager position. Candice seems sincerely pleased for you. However, you have concerns about how your promotion might affect your friendship. As a nurse manager, you have direct authority over all unit staff. This includes responsibility for the following: hiring and firing, performance appraisal, and disciplinary action. Soon after you assume your position, Candice has initiated special requests. Special requests for days off, for top priority, for low census coverage, and a special request she has also taken extended coffee breaks. In an effort to maintain friendship, you've responded to her request with a smile, lightheartedly, saying it wouldn't be fair to the other staff, would it? Candice has replied with a smile, it pays to have friends in high places. Candice's behavior becomes increasingly disruptive for you. You believe she's taking advantage of the friendship. You wonder if she's making statements to other staff implying approval of her special privileges. You have attempted to confront Candice with your concerns, and she has dismissed the interaction by saying, "You know you are my best friend. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you." However, you continue to believe that Candice is being destructive. Your anxiety is beginning to bother you. As a new nurse manager, you know the problem needs to be resolved. So here are the questions. What might be some of the issues for each person involved in this interpersonal relationship? If you were the nurse manager, what would you do to resolve the problem? Think about the staff morale how can be affected, and how important it is for the manager to sit down with her friend and clarify the roles. Thank you.